Hey, this is Lydia Cornell from Too Close for Comfort and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Full House, Knight Rider 18, Dukes of Hazzard, hundreds of other shows. And I want you to join 30 Minutes Live with CDP every Wednesday and Friday night on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm going to be on the show soon too. Love, Chris.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP on this September 23rd at 6 o'clock. Again, guys, I was supposed to do a podcast with Dave Jixter from 97 Rock in Buffalo. Unfortunately, there was some technical difficulties getting Dave to come on my podcast tonight. So just bear with me, and hopefully my next guest, meteorologist Samantha Roberts from Cleveland 19 News, CBS affiliate in Ohio, will be able to come on and talk about her career as a meteorologist and maybe talk about her Cleveland Browns as well. So, like I said, guys, I'm still learning about this technology and stuff like that. So sometimes things do happen. Especially in radio, television, and even on podcasts. So I'm hoping I can get Samantha to come on and talk about her career for a little bit. And I really appreciate everybody watching live with CDP podcast. So hopefully Samantha will be on very soon. And I'm going to reschedule with Dave as well from 97 Rock. So just while we're waiting for Samantha to come on, you can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. That's Live with CDP on TikTok. Oh, and there's my guest now. So just bear with me, guys. And I'm going to bring on our guest, Samantha Roberts from Cleveland 19 News in Cleveland. And they've had some crazy weather down that way as well lately. So just bear with me, guys. I really appreciate Sam coming on. And we're going to bring Sam on right now. Good evening.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You can hear and see me okay?
Yeah, everything's good to go.
Okay, no problem. I was kind of a little nervous, not because of you. It's just this one guest from Buffalo. Every time I've tried to bring him on my podcast, there's been a technical difficulty that I'm not sure if it's something on my part or StreamYard. So I'm really glad you could join me tonight at 6 o'clock here.
No, everything's great. I think I was able to log in wonderfully. So here we are.
Okay, like I said, I just crossed my. Like you said, you never know. Things do happen in television and radio, and even with podcasts. So I'm glad you were able to make it. And I even put the Cleveland Indians, or the Guardians, I shall say, Progressive Fields stadium in the background for you.
I noticed that. Thank you. That makes me feel so welcome.
I do that with all my guests. So I this StreamYard, this technology is great. StreamYard's amazing.
Yeah, this is cool. Very user friendly, very easy to access. I love it.
Yeah, I just have to figure out why my one guest, his name's Dave. He's a disc jockey for 97 Rock in Buffalo, and we just seem to never have much luck on here. So I've got to really figure it because he wants to come on and talk to me as well. But like I said, I really appreciate you coming on and giving me some time in that on here tonight.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Okay, how's the weather in Cleveland right now?
Well, I'll tell you, we had all of this crazy severe weather yesterday. We had some, well, one tornado warning, and then today we're just left with the cloud cover and the drizzle. And, we're in the 50s, so it's very chilly out there, even for this time of the year.
I was gonna say, yeah, the temperature has gone down, but I'm not complaining because we had a hot, humid summer here in Southern Ontario, and now this is my favorite time of the year for fall because I like the cooler temps plus football, and I'm not a big fan of humidity anymore.
No, I think by the end of the summer, a lot of folks are just done with it, right? They're ready for like sweatshirts and pumpkin spice and all that good stuff.
And I just had a pumpkin tart today, and it's like this is at my favorite time of the year. So
That sounds wonderful.
yes. Hey, I was gonna say, who are your Cleveland Browns playing on Sunday? I think it's Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah, playing the Bears on Sunday. It is a home game. So I'm hoping it's not as much of a nail biter as what we had last week. Hopefully, this will be an easy win and that we can go into another victory Monday feeling good.
Now, what's going to happen if Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback, starts for the Bears? Are the fans going to cheer for him and the Bears, or are they still going to be behind the Browns?
No, I think we're all Browns all the time. Mitch Trubisky is actually from Menor. So when he was playing, I mean, obviously people are still going to pull for the hometown guy, but number one, you have to pull for the Browns.
Okay, no problem. And like I said, you guys, you bounced back from the week one loss to Kansas City, which was tough. Really, the Browns really should be 2-0, but that first game, you can't make any mistakes against the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, Mahomes is too good. They have a lot of good players on the Chiefs. And what really struck me that Sunday was just the atmosphere. I was obviously just watching on TV from Cleveland, but you could tell that at Arrowhead, they were fired up and they were loud. And I do think it had a big impact on the game.
Are you going to the game this Sunday?
I will not be going to the game.
Okay.
I actually was able to go to a preseason game. Can't make it this Sunday, but hoping to make it to a game before the season ends.
Okay. Can I get a quick weather forecast for that Browns Bears kickoff? Is it a 1 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah, it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So what we're thinking right now is that in the morning, possibly we'll see a light lake effect rain developing. Now that's going to be coming in from the west across the lake. So a few light morning lake effect showers. There's some tailgaters down here who get started really, really early in the morning. So possibly a shower for tailgating, should be drying out and clearing out by kickoff.
Okay, I was gonna say, and yeah, when I was going to NFL games too, I used to like to tailgate early as well. But one thing I noticed about Cleveland, that weather can change in a hurry. Just being off Lake Erie, I realize how fast it can change.
It can change, in a heartbeat. You can be driving along. Interstate 90 is like our main thoroughway right along the lakeshore. And you could be driving along and everything is fine. And then a couple of minutes later, you're in a snow squall, not this time of the year, but here in a couple months. And you're like, wow, what happened?
Yeah, parts of Canada, I guess up in the Yukon, they've already gotten some snow already. So, and I think Alberta has had a little bit of snow already. So we're not that far away from snow.
No, it'll be here before you know it. Probably before most people want it to.
Okay. I like winter. I grew up in snow and I'd rather put up with snow and cold and all that than earthquakes and hurricanes and all that stuff.
We're lucky up here,
Yes.
Chris, and up in Canada, portions of Canada as
Yes.
well. We don't have quite as many extremes, you know.
Definitely. Definitely. So anyways, I'm going to start with some questions.
Okay.
First one I wanted to ask you is, can you tell my audience just a little bit about yourself and when did you decide you wanted to pursue a career in broadcasting as a weather meteorologist?
So, really years ago, in 1993, I was 5, and we had the blizzard of a 1993, or the East Coast Superstorm. There's several names for it, but it impacted my hometown. We had a lot of snow. I'll never forget it, even though I was just 5. I've been obsessed with weather ever since.
Okay. And that leads to my next question. Um, where did you attend school? And did you have any mentor or mentors when you were starting out in the industry?
Yeah, so I went to journalism school at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, big football program there. And I went there for 4 years. And in my junior year, I decided that it was time to maybe consider pursuing a degree in meteorology. I didn't go into that initially because UT actually doesn't have a meteorology program. So ended up enrolling at Mississippi State University to do their online program. So I finished up with school. I want to say it was 2010 I finished undergrad, 2013 I finished MSU's program. Been in the business of TV for about 10 years. And I did have a couple of mentors, actually. I have to give a shout out to my buddy Mike Witcher at WBIR, the NBC affiliate in Knoxville, Tennessee. He really helped me get started, guided me through the resume tape process. And then Cheryl Scott, who is in Chicago now, she was also at the station at the time, and she really helped me, learn how to do things in front of the green screen.
Okay. That leads to my next question. What was your first job in TV, and did you ever do any radio, Samantha, as well?
So I didn't do much radio, mostly TV. My first job was in Macon, Georgia. I think at the time it was TV Market 123. Great place to get your feet wet. Lots of active weather, thunderstorms, tornadoes, no snow, not much of a winter. And then when I was in the Huntsville market, I did spend a little time on the radio in addition to my main job is obviously TV, but occasionally in the afternoons, I would go on a local sports station, talk about what's going on with the forecast for Auburn and Alabama games, and yeah, dabbled in that a little bit, but mostly TV.
I was gonna say, and when you're on the when you're on live, Samantha, do you get how much time do you get from the producer to say what you have to say for your weather forecast? If you don't mind me asking.
So it kind of depends, in I feel like in smaller markets you got a lot more time. um, you were able to talk about, weather and your main weather for about 3 minutes. And I do get that sometimes, especially when the weather's active. I would say most of my hits are around 2 minutes for a longer one. But our weather here is very active, so I occasionally end up with a little more time to talk about it.
It just depends. Okay, so you have to be so the producers have to be flexible, and that's another thing I'm learning too. Doing camera work is I have so much respect for producers because that's not an easy job because you have to know all aspects of every job and everything has to be coordinated as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and they have to be somewhat good at math. There is a stereotype that journalists are not good at mathematics, but the producers really have to know how to time a show. I can't imagine doing that. I think they have a tough job.
Yes, I like doing the camera, being the camera operator. So, being a producer, it's very. I'm learning all the I'm learning all the scenes behind the scenes of a live hockey broadcast and how much work it is to set up and how much it is to tear down as well. So, I'm constantly learning all the time, and I'm going to be doing my first hockey game in a year and a half tomorrow night, which is finally nice. But I told my producer I'm gonna be a little bit rusty because when you don't do something for a long time, then you start losing your skills a little bit as well.
Yeah, you take a long vacation, or with all this COVID stuff, people took a lot of time off from various things, and you got to get your feet wet again, and practice makes perfect, I guess.
Yes, and that's why I like to do my podcast at least 2 to 4 times a week because, like I said, the more reps you do, the more comfortable you get, and I think you can improve the more you do something.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful podcast. I love the logo too.
Thank you. My friend James in Michigan, he does all their athletes and celebrities, and he was nice enough to do that for me. And he didn't even want any money. And then my friend Laura, she put it on a mug for me and a T-shirt. So I'm actually going to be selling my podcast shirts with that on it and on my mugs as well. I'm learning to promote myself as well.
That's really cool. You can count me in for buying a mug from you.
Okay, yeah, and she puts live with CDP at the bottom of it, but I definitely, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm working hard to hopefully I'll get my opportunity in radio one day.
I hope you do, and I think you would do an excellent job. Great questions so far. I'm not the most interesting interview subject. I don't have a lot going on, but great questions and a great setup here with StreamYard.
Well, thank you. I've always liked to ask people questions and I like to learn things. And with this technology too, there's always new stuff I need to learn as well. So and I love enjoy learning as well.
That's important these days with the ever changing nature of television, radio, and technology. Every month, I find out about some new social media thing that people are doing, and I can't keep up.
Yeah, I finally joined TikTok, but I'm only using TikTok to promote my podcast and myself. There's so much on there, and it's like, wow. But I thought I would be the oldest person on TikTok, but apparently there's people that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s on TikTok.
Wow, I'm not on there quite yet. I've
Yeah.
been toying with the idea of joining maybe one day.
Yeah, well, like I said, right now, but the thing is, for you to go live there, you have to have 1,000 followers, and right now I'm about 330 followers. But I can still record messages, pre-record messages from 15 seconds to 30 seconds up to a minute. So that's great for like letting people know about my podcast.
Oh, that's great. Well, if I get on there, I'll have to share it. If you're, I don't even know if you able to do that on TikTok. I assume.
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
can. Yes, you can share everything on TikTok, on your Instagram stories, on your Facebook stories, and even on Twitter as well. So it can be a useful tool.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be hitting that retweet button.
Definitely. Okay, my next question for you. Just let me know you're still okay for time.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to
Okay.
go.
Okay, because I always like to ask my guests, because every guest, some guests can stay for 20 minutes or some can go an hour or whatever. I just try to be very flexible. That's the thing I'm learning about even doing a podcast is I try to be very flexible with my guest's schedule as well.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
Okay. My next question I wanted to ask you, Samantha, or do you prefer Sam? What do you prefer,
You
Sam or
know,
Samantha?
either one is fine. Most people just directly blow right past Samantha and go right for Sam. So Sam is fine.
Okay, Sam, and you can call me either Chris or CDP. Those are my initials because a lot of people ask me, what the hell is CDP? And I said, those are my initials. I thought it was a catchy name when I created my podcast. I'm like, okay, let's go with 30 Minutes Live with CDP. But I had to change the name of my podcast because most of my podcasts were going more than 30 minutes. So I scrapped the 30 minutes and just called it Live with CDP.
That's a perfect name. Very easy to remember.
Yes, yes. So, thank you. This question I wanted to ask you, I asked a lot of my guests this too, in your industry especially. Did you do any volunteer work or internships? And if so, how much did they help with getting into the industry?
So this is not to say that a degree or 2 degrees are not important because they are very important, especially in meteorology. But internships from a broadcasting standpoint are so important. Almost, I never want to say, oh, more important than a degree because an education can take you anywhere. Um, but regarding internships, the experience is so important. You have to be able to put your resume tape together. You have some broadcasting experience, and that internship is so important in terms of getting your foot in the door because the people at that internship are going to know somebody in that smaller market you're just trying to start at. So I interned at WBIR. That's the NBC affiliate in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had an internship there through my university, and I liked it so much. I did, I think, multiple semesters in news and in weather. Obviously, that kind of pushed me into weather, but internship, WBIR, and then I did do some volunteer work with Meals on Wheels over the years. I miss those internship days for sure.
And I was going to say, right now I do volunteer work with a cable company called Rogers TV, which I'm hoping to learn more from them. But I'm also trying to get into a radio station as well and to do some volunteer work as well. Because I'm trying to do this, Samantha, without uh, going to college the radio route. I've had a few people from schools tell me that just to keep doing what I'm doing. One thing is networking is big, building contacts, and just trying to get as much experience on here as I can as well.
That's so important. And you're already with this podcast and it being a video and an audio medium. I mean, it looks great. Most of the podcasts I listen to don't have video; they're all audio. So this is already next level.
Thank you. And what I do is when my podcasts are done live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, I download the audio and put it on 9 more platforms. So I've got an audience up to 9 countries now, which is kind of amazing. I still have a long ways to go, but it helps.
That's really cool that you're able to get it out in all those countries and 9 different platforms. That's fascinating. I can only think of about 5 off the top of my head. So
And the one good thing is if I do have a guest that comes on and they're not comfortable being on live camera, they can come on here and do it live on audio as well. I can pre-record on here, or I can have a guest that doesn't feel comfortable being on camera, just do it on audio as well. So I do have options on here.
Very cool. Very cool. Sounds like you've got it all figured out.
Well, my one friend Jamie in Philadelphia, he's a huge help. He helped get me on the StreamYard, and when I need advice or whatever, he always helps me out too. And that's another thing too. It helps to know people that know the technology, and if you have questions, I'll be able to help you out and answer your questions.
For sure. And, no question is, people will say, oh, that's a stupid question or whatever, but no question is,
Nope,
it's a mark of a person, a curious person when you can ask questions without hesitation.
definitely. Okay. Next question I wanted to ask you, Sam, is how did you end up coming about the meteorologist position with Cleveland 19 News?
So I was working about 6 years ago, 7 years ago in Richmond, Virginia. I'm originally from Virginia, and I was working there for a little over a year. And someone within the company actually brought to my attention that there was an opening here at WOIO. And I said, okay, I've never been to Cleveland, but I'll go check it out. And uh, I came up here and interviewed and got the job and fell in love with the city. And I've been here ever since.
Okay. And I was gonna say, people are. I think Cleveland's similar to Buffalo too, because I've been to a Buffalo a lot, and I always find that people are friendly down there, and the food's really good too, and they love their sports as much as Cleveland does with the Browns and the Cavaliers and the Indians. I was gonna ask you that briefly. What's your thoughts on the baseball team changing their name to the Guardians?
I think it's a timely change. There have been many concerns with the mascot and the nature of the appearance of the mascot. Currently, the Indians, and then as you mentioned, changing to the Guardians. And I think Guardians, um, oh, I hope my camera didn't drop out there. I hope you can still see me.
Yeah, I
The
can
uh,
still
the
see you.
Guardians name, it's funny. If you're from Cleveland or you've spent any prolonged amount of time here, the Guardians are there's two big bridges, one in particular crossing the Cuyahoga River from Cleveland into Ohio City. And there's these big, big statues, massive, of they call them the Guardian of Transportation. And each statue, they're Art Deco, and they have different type trucks or different type.
Oh, I just lost Samantha. Guys, once again, technology is come back to bite me in the butt today, but just bear with us and hopefully Samantha will be back. Just 1 second, okay, guys? Yep, just 1 second. Anyways, yeah, she was just telling us how the Cleveland baseball team changed their name to the Guardians. So just 1 second. Samantha, you there? I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I have to apologize. I'm in a basement, so getting the signal down here can be.
No worries. Yeah, it
Oh,
happens. It happens. Yep.
you got me? I
I don't
can
know if
see you. You see-
yeah, I can see you on here. I I guess sometimes it does happen with a Wi-Fi connection. They do say when you do these podcasts to make sure everybody has a strong Wi-Fi signal too. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, we're notorious down here for bad signal in this.
Oops. Okay, guys, bear with me. We're gonna try to get Samantha to come back on again. It's just the Wi-Fi signal, which does happen occasionally here on podcasts as well. So we'll just cross our fingers we can get Samantha back on just to talk a little bit more about her career as a meteorologist at Cleveland 19 News. And she was just before she got cut off with the Wi-Fi signal. She was just mentioning how the Cleveland Indians came up with the name the Cleveland Guardians starting in 2022. And I think Sam's back. Can you hear and see me okay? Oh, we lost her again. Okay, guys, we'll just cross our fingers and we'll try to get Sam back on again. Like you said, with technology, with Wi-Fi signals, this does happen occasionally. So we'll just cross our fingers and we'll try it again with Sam. So 1 second. Hey, Sam, you okay?
Hey, you got me?
Yeah, I got yeah. We'll cross our fingers. Hey, like I said, I'm learning this too. Things do happen with Wi-Fi signals and all that too. So I've just learned to keep going on until my guest comes back.
Absolutely. Rolling with the punches is the
Yeah.
number one thing you have to do in any form of broadcasting because it can turn into a comedy of errors.
Yes, and I've learned how to ad lib as well. So I just tell my audience if things do happen, just to bear with us, and I just try to keep going. I knew you were going to come back, so but I was going to say that's an interesting how they got the name for the team, the Guardians.
Yeah, it is interesting. And it's time.
Oh,
People have had an issue with it for a long time, and let's move on. Let's move into a positive era of Indians baseball. Now Guardians baseball.
I was going to say, are they going to keep the same colors, or are they going to change the color scheme as well?
So the last time we covered this, I'm thinking they're sticking with the color scheme. The C, the traditional block C, which I do love that logo. That block C is fantastic for Cleveland. I think they've added maybe some wings to it, which are also a nod to those guardian statues I was talking about. On their helmets, they have these wings. Really cool. When we get off the podcast, you'll have to Google, or everybody watching, you got to Google Cleveland Guardians of Transportation because they really are the most striking, beautiful statues. You can't miss them.
Okay, and I have been to Cleveland a number of times too, and I've always enjoyed visiting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or going to Progressive Field. The only problem is when I've come to Cleveland, the 3 times or 4 times, it's been like 105 degrees with the crazy humidity.
Oh no, that's surprising to me. I thought you were going to tell me that every time you came, it was raining or there was lake effect snow or something like that.
No, I haven't been there yet, but I know, like I said, driving through even Erie, Pennsylvania, how fast weather can change, even in Erie, which is what, an hour and a half from Cleveland, how fast it can change being right off the lake.
It can change very, very quickly, especially in the winter.
Okay, and that leads to my next question. Let's see. This one I want to ask you. What is your, I used to say favorite, but a lot of people, it's hard to say. So now I just basically, what's your most memorable weather story you've covered so far at Cleveland News 19? And have you had a favorite interview yet so far? Or a most memorable interview you've done?
You know, so I don't working in weather, I don't do a ton of interviews. I at one point for about 3 years was on our morning newscast. And we did have a few times where they would let me in on the interviews, mostly for a wedding segment I had right around the time I got married. So those were a good time. Regarding memorable weather stories, there's so many, and most of them have a lot to do with snow. I want to say it was 2018, 18 or 19. It would have, I don't know, one of these, all these winters, they start to bleed together. We got like 20 inches of snow. And being a native Southerner, There are not many times in my life, if any, other than the blizzard of 93, that I've seen that much snow. And it was just mesmerizing. And then I suppose last winter as well, we had two huge snows, one on December 1st, it was massive. And then we had another one right around Christmas time. So almost the whole month of December, we had a ton of snow on the ground. And that's always makes for good memories.
Definitely. Okay. And then this leads to my next question too. Um, what do you enjoy the most about being a weather meteorologist, and what is the hardest aspect of it?
So I would say my favorite part is actually the stuff that takes place off camera. When I get up every morning and make a cup of coffee and I start looking at weather models, I don't have to be in here until like noon, but I am ready to look at all things weather and doing that analysis and that forecasting and really diving into the maps and the models, using what we know about the local area and how unique our weather is in Cleveland to come up with an accurate forecast is by far my favorite part of this. I do enjoy the TV aspect. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be doing it. But the forecasting part for me is special.
Okay. And like you said, I guess one of the hardest aspects is sometimes the weather can just change like just change like in a fly in Cleveland being off the lake as well.
That can be tough. That can be tough. Lake effect season here. We obviously have lake effect snow, but in when we have the right ingredients, we get lake effect rain too, and they can produce some thunder and hail. And a lot of people associate lake effect solely winter time, but that's just not the case. We get grapple here, which is a unique precipitation type that looks like that Dippin' Dots ice cream. And I would say that the hardest thing, yeah, is that interaction with Lake Erie. Now, I have been here for quite some time, so I've gotten used to the tricks that Lake Erie can pull on us, but sometimes she does throw us a few surprises.
Okay. And I only got a couple more questions, Samantha, for you, but I was going to ask you, what's a typical day like for a weather meteorologist?
So, a lot of people think that broadcast meteorologists in particular get our forecast from somewhere else, that we go and we look at the National Weather Service or we just look at one model and come up with our forecast. But actually, a lot goes into putting together a forecast. I spend on average during the day about an hour and a half just on my forecast. And after I do that, I put it in graphical form on our weather computer. Then I take that information and write up some radio forecasts. In my current role, I am on radio in the afternoon, but not live. It's all recorded. It's two different stations. So I'll send them some radio hits. Then I come back in here, make sure that I'm TV ready. There's hair, there's makeup, there's a lot of coffee and Red Bull sometimes goes into it as well. On days like yesterday, we have severe weather. A lot of our prep takes place on the front end before the newscast. And then once the newscasts are done, we head home and do it all again the next day.
I was going to say, and you just, the shifts you work, I guess you do a combination of days and afternoons?
Yeah, so I am on from 3 to 4, and I'm on again at 4:30, 5:30, and 7:30. Occasionally, I'll work a later shift if someone is off, and but I've done them all in the past. I started here in 2015. I did the morning shift, so I was up at midnight, and every day I was up at midnight, Monday through Friday. Now I have a little bit more of a normal life.
Definitely, and I know what it's like working the midnight overnight shifts as well. It's hard on your body and it affects your sleep as well.
It affects your mind. You almost sometimes feel like you're going a loopy.
Well, yeah, and you don't see much sunlight. Like right now, I don't see a lot of sunlight because now it gets dark every night. I think it gets darker every 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, kind of a bummer, right? The sun's coming up now later and later, and it's setting earlier and earlier. So we're just trying to find that balance where we can get vitamin D.
And I was hoping we'd get rid of that daylight savings time, but unfortunately, I think we're going to be stuck with it for a while. Yeah, it's just it affects people's sleeps, and then you got to change all your clocks and all that, and it's I don't think we really need daylight savings time anymore. The switch going back an hour and then up an hour.
No,
That's my take.
yeah, yeah, it has a rather archaic history. It's an old thing, but whatever we can do to make sure we have the most daylight possible as long as possible, I will do. If I have to move my clock 10 times a year, I just want to be sure that it's daylight at 9 o'clock at night. Maybe I should
Okay.
move to Alaska.
All right, and I just have two more questions for you. This one is, what is it like to work in the Cleveland market, and your favorite restaurant, music, hobbies, and sports teams?
So Cleveland is a very unique place, and for everyone watching, I want you to take away from this that it is America's hidden gem. It has a reputation for being the mistake on the lake and the Cuyahoga River fire way back in the day. And sometimes our sports moments are memorable, not in a good way, but
Oh, I think she just cut out again. Sorry, guys. Hopefully, Sam will be back on in a minute. Just a second. I think she
dog,
came on. Just there. I see you now.
you got me.
Yeah, got you there.
Okay.
So we'll cross our fingers. We're almost finished. We just got a couple more minutes, so we'll just
Okay.
cross our fingers.
All right, really quick, favorite restaurant and hobbies. We have a unique thing here called the Metro Parks, where we have tons and tons of miles of green space where we can get away from the city, get out into the woods. I love that. And I would list my favorite Cleveland restaurant, but there are like a billion amazing places to eat here. So I can't even pick. We would be here all day. They're all good.
Okay. And sports teams.
I love them all, but I'm a sucker for the Browns just because I love football so much.
I'm an Eagles fan, so I don't think we play you guys very often, anyways. But yeah, like I said, I like to go to a Browns game one day. They get it. It's a nice looking stadium, and it's right by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too.
And right by the lake, right downtown, you walk up East Ninth Street and you can get to all the good restaurants, or you walk up Third and you get into the warehouse district where a lot of the good restaurants and bars are. So it's in a great location.
I was gonna say in Progressive Field and the I used to be called the Q. What's the Cavaliers Arena called now?
So Rocket Mortgage Field House,
Okay.
also right downtown, which is another cool thing about Cleveland. I view Cleveland as a big city, and all the sports stadiums are at least within an extremely short Uber ride, if not a walk, when the weather's nice.
Okay. And I'm hoping once the border opens, right now Canadians can fly to the States, but we can't go across your land border. So I'm hoping maybe next year I'll be able to come back to Cleveland and go to a Guardians game or a Cavaliers game. I would like to see a Browns game too one day.
Yeah, I hope you can make it over here. That's funny you say that because I've never been to Canada. I've never flown in or driven in, and I would love to see Canada.
Yeah, like I said, Cleveland's not that far from Buffalo. From my house to Buffalo is about 2 hours to the Peace Bridge, and then Buffalo to Cleveland on the I-90 is, I think, about 3 hours. I know Buffalo to Erie is about an hour and a half, and then it's another hour. Yeah, I'd say Buffalo to Cleveland. So from my house to Cleveland, with a good weather day and no major traffic or border issues, probably about 5.5, 6 hour drive. It's not that far.
All right. Well, I'm going to make that drive as soon as I think we can drive in.
You guys
If
can come over if you're double vaccinated and you have a COVID
yeah,
negative test. But yeah, unfortunately, the U.S. Border is still closed unless it's essential travel. So I'm hoping maybe before Christmas. We'll see.
all right, we'll see. When it does open, you got to get over here.
Definitely. I was going over to the States once a month before the pandemic struck. And now I haven't been over to the States in 18 months, which is hard to believe.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't believe that we've been living in some very strange times.
So I'm hoping, like I said, I hope things are a lot better here than they were 6 months ago or a year. But I'm just hopefully by 2022 or 2023, things are mostly back to normal as well.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's a matter of time. We'll get there.
Okay, and last question I wanted to ask you is, it's not just for me, but any advice for those looking to pursue a career in broadcast journalism, TV, radio, even as a meteorologist? And where can my audience here find you on social media again?
Okay, so my number one piece of advice is to always be flexible. Be flexible, be humble, say yes to a lot of things, anything you're comfortable with, because you want to know how to do a lot. You want to know how to use a camera. You want to know how to write, edit, do weather, do sports. Can you do this? Can you do that? Always be willing to learn and ready to learn. Have fun. I guess I have more than one piece of advice. And as far as getting your foot in the door, a good internship can take you wherever you want to go, and don't give up. Oh, and where can you find me on social? You can follow me on Twitter at Sam Roberts, WX. WX is short for weather. So you can follow me there. And I believe it's the same handle on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, I want to say thank you so much for coming on my podcast live with CDP, and hopefully, again, you might be interested in coming back again, maybe during halfway through the NFL season, and maybe talking some Browns football.
I would love to do that. Thank you for having me, Chris. This was great.
And I'll definitely look at getting you a mug and sending you a mug too.
Okay, and charge me. I want to contribute to the show.
Okay, well, thank you again, and I hope you have a great evening. And we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media. Thank you again, Samantha, Sam, for
Thanks.
coming on.
Thanks,
You too.
Chris.
Okay, have a good night. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you to Samantha Roberts for coming on live with CDP podcast today. And I also want to say thank you to everyone watching live on YouTube, Facebook Live, in Twitter as well. And again, I apologize for my earlier podcast with Dave Jixter. We're going to try to figure out getting Dave on again in the future. And things happen on podcast technical difficulties or whatever as well. Just to let you know, live with CDP podcast, the audio version is always on Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and LinkedIn as well. So, and before I go, I just want to check the comments here. Trevor Spencer, hi Trevor, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for watching. Good guess, Chris. Do they want to bet the Eagles first? Trevor, we'll talk about it another time. We'll see. It's Philadelphia Dallas week, so the Eagles take on Dallas this Monday night at 8:15 on Monday Night Football, and we'll see what happens. But the Eagles are going to be without Brandon Brooks on the O line, and they're going to be without their heart and soul on the defense. Brandon Graham, who tore his Achilles against the Niners on Sunday, so we'll see what happens there. Speaking of Monday Night Football, or sorry, not Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, we have the Carolina Panthers 2-0 at the Houston Texans at 8 o'clock on the NFL Network and on Fox. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will be doing that game as well. Anyways, guys, like I said, thank you all again for watching live with CDP, the podcast, and listening to it on audio as well. Just quick brief, Detroit Red Wings open up the preseason next Wednesday, September 29th at 8:30 at Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center. And The Glow Storm next preseason game will be tomorrow night at the Sleeman Center, Friday, September 24th at 7:30 against the Niagara Ice Dogs. If you happen to watch it on Rogers TV, I will be doing one of the cameras for the broadcast for the first time since February 26, 2020. So you might be able to see some of my camera work on Rogers TV tomorrow night if you happen to watch the Storm and the Niagara play at 7:30. Preseason action, by the way. And that's about it, guys. My next podcast, I do have some next podcasts next week, guys. I'm just going to confirm with my guests the day and times, and I will put them on my social media platform. I do have somebody that's coming on in the next month, in the next few weeks, that used to be with the Chicago Bulls as well. His name is Tommy Edwards, and I just got to confirm with him the day and time. He was their longtime Chicago Bulls PA announcer, and he's the one that created the opening starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan back in 1984 with Cyrus from the Alan Parsons project. So Tommy will be on to talk about his career as the Bulls public address announcer. Being around the Bulls when they were becoming great with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant, and his long career in radio in Chicago, Boston, and LA that went 54 years. So I'm excited to have Tommy Edwards come on my podcast in October. So guys, I will get back to you very soon, and we'll announce our next podcast show time and our guests for next week. And I will cross my fingers. We'll reschedule with Dave Jixter from 97 Rock and Buffalo as well. So anyways, like I said, yes, Trevor, I will be at the game tomorrow night. I'll be working with Rogers TV. So anyways, guys, I'm going to call this a show, but I just want to say thank you so much again for everybody watching live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and also on my audio platform as well. And like I said, guys, you can follow me on TikTok as well at Live with CDP, on TikTok. And that's it. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the football. And we'll see you guys here sometime either next Monday or next Tuesday with some big guests coming up on Live with CDP podcasts. Anyways, again, I want to say thank you to Samantha Roberts for coming on. Enjoyed talking to her today. And we'll try to get Dave Jixter from 97 Rock back on in the near future as well. All right, guys, have a great evening, and we'll see you guys either next Monday or Tuesday for another live edition of Live with CDP podcast. Take care.